right, Pat. We thought we were done talking for the night,
Wow.
but we are back as we're going to overtime between the Minnesota Wild and the Vancouver Canucks in Game 4 elimination match potentially here for the Minnesota Wild. And Pat, we're a little slow to go here during the intermission. I had my headphones put away. I wasn't ready to come on and talk with you, but here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, Minnesota kind of went in a little bit of a shell and then got mixed up defensively, which led to the tying goal. And not a good goal to give up, but nonetheless, they get another crack at it.
Yeah, that goal there at the end, Carson Soucy has had a little bit of a rough game, and obviously playing elevated role here, elevated minutes, going up against more challenging lines than he's accustomed in the series because Ryan Suter out. But yeah, he ain't going up against Beagle and Roussel anymore in this game.
No, and also the fact that he's playing with a different partner and the communication and all of that plays a part. If you're not communicating on the ice, if you don't know where your partner is or wherever one should be on the ice, it's a problem. And they got mixed up there and led to the Vancouver goal. You just knew Vancouver was going to put the push on, right? And I tell you what, you can watch the game and we talked about him in the second intermission, but Quinn Hughes is absolutely, I mean, he's phenomenal. He brings an element to the game, Brandon, that it's beauty. It's just beautiful to watch.
One other thing that's beautiful to watch was I thought Kevin Fiala was a lot more noticeable there in that third period. He'd been a little bit quiet for the first two periods, and fortunately they were getting scoring elsewhere. But that phenomenal move in the neutral zone there, and then a burst of speed to force what ended up being a penalty by Brock Besser that led to a power play. Of course, that power play got negated because Fiala fell down and somehow got a tripping call. But the one guy that I would say, it's pretty easy to go into an overtime and say, well, if the Wild win, it's going to be their best player. But I thought Fiala was starting to get it going. The mojo was getting going there a little bit in the third period, and I would expect something big out of him here in overtime.
Well, which leads me to the point, Brandon, of this team can't be a one-player team, right? A one-forward team. And, all we talk is Fiala. Yeah, we get some other goals tonight. The goals that did come, were the result of a goaltender really not on his game tonight. You take them and you go from there. But it does go to show you, we're talking about Kevin Fiala here, who hasn't had, a great game, but he had a good third period. That's where you need the depth and the strength of your forwards to come through.
One concern for me here, Pat, would be the depth of the defensemen as, the farther this overtime goes along. And granted, it's a 4-4 game. This thing might end, in 2-3 minutes. But the longer it goes, Brodin and Dumba are both at 27, 28 minutes. Spurgeon's at 24 minutes.
Yeah.
The way Soucy's been playing, you might reduce his minutes a bit. I don't know how much you're going to count on Bartkowski, but I'm a little concerned with how tired our defense might get the longer this goes on.
Well, I'm right with you there. And especially, hey, these guys haven't played in 5 months. Now they're asked to play these amount of minutes. Your legs start to go and the head starts to go, and you don't make the proper decisions. So, got to be short shifts, very short. I expect I expect quite a bit of that here in this overtime. But with the young legs Vancouver has, they're gonna come after it. They want this thing to end tonight.
I already know the answer to this question, but we'll ask it anyways. Purple and Gold 22 says Dubnyk.
Why? Why would be my question. He's been fine. Stalock's been more than fine. It's a non-starter for me.
No,
how about you? How about you?
Has a goalie ever been pulled going into overtime in the history of hockey?
No. Did he mean now?
Well, that's what I would think, right? He's saying, Stalock's giving up 4 goals. He thinks Stalock should be pulled, but once again, out of the 4 goals, I don't see one that was Stalock's fault tonight.
No, not at all.
You can't leave Bo Horvat all alone.
No,
in this great pass by Pearson, but
right. And guess what? Um, yeah, you're exactly right. I'll just leave it at that.
Bill Zaccarda says, with Montreal knocking off the Pens, do we lose their pick for 2020? Yes, I believe, it's not official, but Pittsburgh will have the option to delay it to 2021. And I don't know why they wouldn't, because one, they have a 12.5% chance of getting the number one pick. Two, even if they don't get the number one pick, it's still going to be a top 12, top 13 pick. And the odds of Pittsburgh having another top 12, top 13 pick a year from now, I think is pretty slim. Yeah. So the Wild will begin, the Wild have 2 first-round picks next year.
And let's not forget, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a team to watch going forward because they've got some, listen, everyone not everyone, but a lot of people expected them, to go a long way this year. And they lost to a team that potentially was not going to make the playoffs. And, that does not bode well in the Steel City.
Smitty says that ice must be mush after a full long day of hockey. How do players deal with it, Pat? How did you deal it back in your playing days when you had bad soft ice?
Well, some arenas are bad anyway, right? I don't know how the ice is here. How do you deal with it? Well, you certainly don't. You try not to handle the puck as much. You try to get it off your stick and just get to open areas and you throw everything on net. And things aren't. It's not going to be pretty hockey, so you don't play pretty hockey. You go with what the conditions give you. Now, I don't know, again, Brandon, if the ice is good, bad, or indifferent. The technology these days, they keep the ice pretty good. But after 3 games, hard to say.
Obligatory shot of Roma.
Yeah, how's Roma?
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, my dog, Casey, is resting comfortably.
She's not used to being up this late, so her old man is usually in bed by 10:30. So she's staying up late with the Wild game tonight as well.
Exactly.
Eric Vigo wants to know, anyone stood out in your mind so far in the playoffs with their performance?
Throughout the whole performance, yeah.
Dubois
from the Columbus Blue Jackets he is finally coming into his own. He was a high pick of Columbus and didn't fare well his rookie year, and he has matured and is a stud. Not a lot of people see him because he's in Columbus, but he had 3, including the game winner last night versus Toronto. They lost tonight, but he's a great player. He's been terrific.
How about
Quinn Hughes?
I was gonna say, well, how about with the Wild? How about with the Wild specifically through almost 4 games now, 12 periods? Has anyone stood out with you?
Well, to me, their best player has been Jonas Brodin, and we don't talk a lot about him. Why? Because he doesn't make any mistakes, and if you just key on him and you watch his feet, he, besides Quinn Hughes, has the best feet in the league. It is how he gets out of those jams is absolutely amazing to me. I just. He doesn't have a lot of offensive game. That's why we don't talk about him a lot. But I wouldn't trade him for anything.
In terms of being surprised by anything, I don't really know if there's anyone on the entire roster. The good players like Brodin, we've seen this out of Jonas Brodin before. I get maybe Joel Eriksson-Ek kind of being a defensive shutdown guy and adding a little bit offensively, but I don't know. There's a reason they're on the brink of elimination here, Pat.
A surprise to me, Brandon, would be someone that would jump out and become a different player. That's what I deem a surprise. Dubois in Columbus, Quinn Hughes taking his game to a completely another level. But Minnesota is what they are, and that's why they are who they are, right? They're a little bit older. If there's anybody that would come to mind, obviously it's Kevin Fiala and what he did, from February into March. But other than that, no.
All right, one more question here. Don Hall 24 wants to know, why wasn't that Fiala penalty a penalty shot? I think some of these are kind of subjective, Pat, but historically, and I don't know the exact rules in the rule book to determine what's penalty or not, but I feel like whenever a player still gets a shot off despite a penalty just transpiring, they usually never call a penalty shot. It's usually got to be kind of a clear gap separation, and it prevented them from getting a shot off. So personally, I would think just because Fiala still got a shot off, I think that's why they just went with the penalty.
I would like to ask Don if he thought the penalty that Jared Spurgeon took on Louis Eriksson should have been a penalty shot. There was chatter about that. I'm sure the Vancouver Canucks fans thought that should have been a penalty shot in the second period. So I don't know. I think you have to have a step on a guy and then get impeded. Like you said, very subjective call.
Well, Pat, maybe I'll be talking to you for the second overtime.
Maybe. Let's hope.
I'll be pretty sleepy by then. All right.
Yeah.
Good
So
to
I
talk
gotta
to you.
get up, and I'm going to be on In the Zone tomorrow, by the way, at 8:15 for, guess what? More Wild Talk.
Well, and my children get up in 5 hours. So let's get back.
All right.
It looks like they're heading back on the ice. We'll talk to you
Wonderful.
later.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. That's it. Have a good night. Go Wild.
Yeah, you too.